explore the topic, Global South in the Digital Age, Diplomacy, Development, and the Role of Emerging Economies. To the Honorable Moderator and Speaker, you may begin.
Thank you, Jackie. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat pagi, salam sejahtera untuk kita semuanya. Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, salam kebajikan. Project University Indonesia since 2022. Okay, today's theme is about Global South in the digital age, diplomacy and the role of emerging economies. In an era defined by rapid digital transformation, the Global South, once seen as a peripheral actors in international affairs, is now emerging as a central player in shaping global digital diplomacy, technological innovation, and inclusive development. From the rise of digital infrastructure to fintech revolutions to calls for more equitable global governance, the Global South is asserting its voice on the global stage. And Professor Ignacio Ortiz will share his views on how emerging economies can adapt to and influence international digital norms, promote equitable development, and also strengthen South-South cooperation in a fragmented world. So hopefully we will learn also how diplomacy is evolving in the digital era, how development is being redefined by emerging economies, and also what this all means for global cooperation and competition in the 21st century. Okay, without further ado, I would invite Professor Ortiz to deliver his insights.
Thank you for this introduction. First of all, I would like to say, thank you, Professor, again. My, let's say, mother tongue is Spanish. It's not English, okay? As you, Bahasa, we don't speak in English. It's a third language that we are using in order to communicate between us, okay? So I should learn Bahasa, you should learn Spanish. You know, as you may know, there's a lot of countries in Latin America that speak Spanish. Bahasa also, even though it's not the same, but you also can speak in Malaysia. You can understand yourself, at least. Okay, first of all, I would like to apologize myself for being late. The reason why I was late is because I was in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. I was visiting the director for Latin America from the ministry. Also, I have to say thanks to them, because one of the reasons why I'm here is because of diplomacy. It's because the government of Indonesia helped me to come to Indonesia, because they know that I'm so interested in Indonesia and to make bilateral ties, not just between governments, also with, because Professor didn't read part of the CV that says that I'm also part of the, let's say, consultant for the industrial union, means for the private sector. So part of my job is to be a consultant. So I don't work just with governments. Also, I would like to tell you that because I'm a professor myself, I've been teaching for a long time since I was young. First as an assistant, then as a, let's say, responsible for some task, and now I'm a professor. But something that I learned from these new generations, your generation, is that the lack of concentration that we have nowadays. And I also assume that. So it's hard for us to concentrate for 1 hour and a half on a lecture. It's boring, okay? Latin Americans are straightforward. We are not like Asians, okay? We are straightforward. We speak directly to the eyes of the other people. That's a cultural clash. I used to live in China before the pandemic. I used to live in Beijing. So I know about, you know, our cultural differences. I experienced myself. You know, university is really important, but also to have practice in our life. International relations is not just theory. It's something that you work on the field. So things that maybe we learn through our the authors that we read, then we have on practice is different, and it's more complicated. So, for example, to come here to Indonesia, it took me 3 days. It means that the distance, we are far away. We are really far away. So it's an honor. Also, it's really important for me to be here and see you. Communicate through Instagram and X. He can fire the person just by X, like my president. Milei fire people by X. So that's how important the social medias are. Next slide, please. How can we define what is the global south? Why should be connected? Why Indonesia and Argentina should be connected? That was the question today in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Like, what do we do? How we can be connected? Why we are similars? What kind of similarities we find between countries from Africa, countries from Southeast Asia, and countries from South America? Especially, I think the most important thing is that we are not developed. Our societies have a lack of a lot of things. We still have a society that requires the assistance of the state a lot. So the state has a key role there. Okay. So if the state doesn't communicate correctly, if they don't use the new sources, it's complicated. For example, now the president is using more and more his own social medias rather than the official ones. Okay, this is a new strategy, but this was not used before. So now he communicates through his own social media. Then we will talk about my president. It's kind of an iconic person nowadays, especially for young people. But my question for you, and this is just for the Q&A, is that do you think the global south exists? Do you think I will go even further. I'm using a philosopher called Marcus Gabriel as let's say a framework for myself. Do you think the existence of the world exists? Well, this philosopher thinks that it doesn't exist. All exist. Every phenomenon exists. The only thing that doesn't exist is the idea of a world, of a global system. We have just partial perceptions of what we think is the world. And if we don't understand from a humble position that we have a partial perspective, we take bad decisions. The states, the governments, the agent of economy, they take bad decisions nowadays because the world, as we know it, the world is fragmented. And that's a concept that it has been taken from psychology. It's when people cannot have one clear identity. They have a lot of identities, as we have nowadays, everyone. Okay? So, next slide. This is long. Okay, the definition of, you can have the PPT, is the definition of digital diplomacy by the World Economic Forum in Switzerland. Basically, it's like the official way to say the digital diplomacy. As I said before, and we can do it by examples, countries that really are using like really effectively the sources that we have, like for example social medias. The states, the United States nowadays, they modernized their communication, and I have to say it's really effective. For example, let's take, okay, now they are being really challenging. They're really being direct, the US, okay? I don't know if you have seen the AI recreation of the Pope, Trump as the Pope. Okay, for a lot of people that was offensive, okay? But for a lot of people, this was really effective. So again, Trump thinks that the world is fragmented, so he's not speaking to all the people. He's just speaking to the people, his audience, the people that believe in Trump. So if we understand our limitations, we also can be effective, because we understand who is our audience. Let's say, for example, nowadays in this lecture, young people under 22 from a university in Jakarta, from highly or middle class. Okay, so I know which one is the population I'm talking to. Okay, so Trump understands who is he talking to. It doesn't matter if he offends the other part of the society, of the civil society of the world. It doesn't matter. The same Milei, the same the president of Argentina, it's the same. He thinks that he will not convince the whole society of Argentina. So he knows that there's a lot of people angry in Argentina because 75% of the population live under poverty, so people are angry and they want to hear someone that is angry as the president. So he communicates that through media. Next slide, please. How we can cooperate. One of the best examples of a platform that is really using nowadays digital diplomacy and through also trying to boost our digital economy is BRICS. I think it's one of the most important, let's say, coordination groups nowadays, even though Argentina will not join it. As you may know, Indonesia, it's planning to join BRICS because it's a middle power. What is the difference between Argentina and Indonesia? Is that Argentina believes that we are part of the Western Hemisphere. So that means that BRICS, because it's led by China, we should not join them. Okay? But I think it's the best, let's say, platform for this kind of collaboration between South-South countries. Next slide, please. Okay, this is a sensitive topic, but cybersecurity, the cooperation between our countries is essential to understand ourselves. Because, for example, let's say, I will tell you something that it's part of the agenda between Argentina and Indonesia. Indonesia is the country with most of the people here are from Islam faith, okay? And it's a huge country. It's over 278 million people living here. The source is the World Bank, at least is what they say, okay? So we suffered 2 terrorist attacks in the 90s, okay? The targets were the Israel embassy and the association of the community of Jewish people, okay? They kill a lot of people. Since then, all the countries where Islam is the majority faith, we tend to have some questions about it, because cells can introduce themselves through that countries. So it's a sensitive topic, okay? We are 2 emerging markets. We can speak about digital economy, but there's a background before that can affect this dynamic. And that's a pretty big challenge between Argentina and Indonesia nowadays. Because if we don't solve that, we cannot go forward with other kind of businesses. So that's why I want to emphasize on this. We can go back to this topic when we are developing the Q&A. Next slide, please. Okay. In this case, Indonesia and Argentina, let's say, we are lack of a lot of technology that other countries can develop or they already developed. We are seeking for investment all the time. Argentina is seeking for investment from the US, from China, from European countries, as you also do from the same sources. So that means that can we, for example, think about the framework where Argentina and Indonesia can joint venture on projects of technology, development of technology, like let's say, for example, nuclear technology? Yes, we can. But as I said before, security, we still have some challenges in that topic in order to solve it and then go forward with to share technology between our countries, even though we already have an agreement about it. Next slide. I think the Belt and Road Initiative, I don't know how much you know about it, because Indonesia is part of it. But this framework, it's a great way to expand the capital of, focus on digital economy. Like, for example, as I said before, Tokopedia. The problem of it is that China is considered emerging market. Is China an emerging economy, an emerging market? That's a question for you as future lecturers, as students. Is really China an emerging market as they perceive themselves, or is taking advantage of it to expand their capital to other countries, as the US did a century ago? Next slide, please. Let's talk a bit about my country. Okay, that's my president. So that was in Wall Street when he was invited. They call him El Loco. El Loco means the crazy guy, because of his looks. No, he's disruptive as Trump. Argentina, it's a interesting case to try to understand. It doesn't mean that you will understand it, especially because our economy is really unstable. We suffered inflation a few years ago that went up to 210 in just 1 year. So imagine that you sign a contract for $200 for renting an apartment at, let's say in January. By the end of the year, you were paying over $600. So for the regular people, for the, let's say, citizens, this was crazy. That's why we chose a president as Milei. Milei is a macroeconomist. Our problem always has been the macroeconomy, not microeconomy. Our problem is the macroeconomy of our country. Has been unstable for decades and decades. So it seems like we found a solution in a guy that doesn't fear to make decisions. A lot of regular, traditional politicians tried to make changes, but they couldn't. So we gave our vote to someone that maybe is able to do it because he doesn't fear. This is a new generation of politics, a new generation of politicians, a new way to communicate. And these new generations, even though he's older enough, he's 50 years old, but he represents this new trend of communicating in policy and in diplomacy, because he also do diplomacy, I can tell you. he was one of the first persons to bet to Trump. When he was already the president, he went, instead of going to meet Biden, he went to meet Elon Musk and Trump during his candidacy. Next slide, please. As I said before, Argentina has developed a digital economy, really strengthened their ties with other countries and other economies in the region. That's why Mercado Libre leads the digital economy in Latin America. Now, digital companies as Ualá and Globant are investing in other countries. So we are expanding our capital through that. Our new trend is these unicorns that are investing to have a more regional dynamic. So it's not just by chance that Milei is trying to boost his relationship with these main agents of our economy. So his, let's say, founding fathers are this sector, the digital economy. They support Milei, these new entrepreneurs, because they believe that through digital economy can be the expansion of the Argentinian capital. So that's another thing. This could be a research topic. It would be really interesting to see lecturers or students to work on how Argentina is thinking about expanding our capital through digital economy. So next slide. I give you some references if you want to read more about it. There are some references about Indonesia. There are some references about Argentina. You can look for it. You can also contact me by email or by LinkedIn. I just want to finish here so you don't get bored with me. As I said, I'm not trying to get you bored today. It's Monday. The week is just started. And we can speak now freely. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Ortiz. Okay, although it's Monday, everyone excited also for today's lecture. Just a brief recap on what the professor have said, that it is important that communication is in digital platform to target young generations, so then we should adapt, or the government should adapt on how this communication should be. And digital platform is also used for many purposes, including the diplomacy as well. And the leaders that are or who are in charge in the government nowadays use digital platform to showcase their ideas, their opinions, which sometimes does not reflect on the state itself. It is more personal reflections on the leaders itself or himself. And the next important questions that Professor Ortiz also raised, according to me, is that the question whether the China is emerging market or China is using the markets or the other markets to use to sell or to expose their products or ideas for the emerging markets itself. So nowadays, now I open the Q&A sessions. Anyone is invited to ask. You can begin with your name, stating your names, and then your questions. Anyone? Please do. Yes? How do you use your digital platforms in your daily lives? My questions.
I think these two girls
Oh,
would like to speak.
you want to ask?
Yes,
Yes. Yes? Okay.
Hello. First of all, thank you for the opportunity. My name is Siti Ayasha Rashid. I just want I mainly use the online platforms such as Google and search engines to do my research and to do my tasks such as assignments in the university or like my homeworks at home. I just do it because the only thing that is easier for me to reach the library is by the searching engines because books are expensive and those charges doesn't help. So that's just my answer. Maybe can I continue with my question? First of all, thank you very much for the opportunity. So I can ask a question. I heard you mentioned about alertness towards the AI usage, Professor. So Argentina's domestic economic development, and I want to know your perspective phenomenon. Thank you.
Start just from a personal level. Last year I was teaching students in English, and I had an exam with them. I was testing them, and one of the kids, it was a group of three, they had to choose a company, a multinational company, to speak about PR. And basically, the group started to speak about the CEO of the company. And I let them speak for at least 5 minutes, okay? So they spoke about Jane Doe. Jane Doe, the CEO of the company, blah, 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 blah. So I was looking for the company in the website, and I found that the CEO of the company was a man, an Indian man. What was happening was that they use AI to make the presentation, and they didn't even check the website of the company that they were supposed to make the research about. They scored 0. But first of all, I taught them a bit, about it. It's like you cannot use AI because AI is just giving you the information of what they think is. So you are not thinking. You are not using your head. You are just communicating what a machine says that is correct. And most of the kids, they don't have criteria of how to process that information. So starting from the civilian point of view, let's say from citizens, we are getting information that we think is real, but sometimes it's fake. If you ask to make a paper for you, most of the citations that they do nowadays, any engine, are incorrect. They take incorrect sources. So still it's not well developed as it's supposed to be. People are relying a lot into AI, but they don't know what they are doing, especially in emerging markets as us. And I'm afraid about the jobs that people will lose because of AI, and especially in our countries. What will people do? Let's say, for example, we are focused on agriculture in Argentina. Now, there's not much people working in the agriculture sector. You don't need it. You just have the technology to do it. So a long time ago, we used to have like huge villages with a lot of people working in the field or working in the domestic microeconomy. Now that's gone. So for me, I'm afraid about how far AI can go. I think I answered your question.
More questions?
Sorry, before that, I just want to add something. Or the policy between Argentine and Indonesia because of this phenomenon. Is that impactful or not on your perspective, and how do you overcome it? Thank you.
Well, for example, let's say if we start to speak about the connection between the companies that work into the digital economy, that's a way to promote our ties in terms of business. Already feel, but I don't know because it's the private sector. About AI and the risk of AI, I don't think there is any agenda nowadays about it. It's a good proposal. I'm connected to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, so I will propose it maybe. But also in terms of security, AI, it's a risk of security because these companies, this engine, they get all the information, even your needs, your desires, everything is there. Where are they from? China or the US? They get all your information as a civilian. If they collect that information and they work on metadata, they have how our society behaves as a society. Yeah, we should work together.
You okay? Yeah. Okay.
Good afternoon. My name is Frina Desvitananda Ziva. I'm from International Relations Faculty. Asking about Argentina economic growth during pandemic. Is it developing or in trying to adapt, and how they're growing? Because in the pandemic is a lot of karantina program, and how Argentina adapt in the economic growth during pandemic. Thank you.
First of all, thank you for the question. Second of all, our economy during the pandemic was in crisis. Because first of all, we have a huge debt with the IMF, and now we restructure the debt. The public debt is just $400 billion, our public debt. And we asked for the biggest loan of the IMF. And now we ask for more money. So that's why I said before, our microeconomy has been unstable for decades. And we suffer of deficit in our budget. So we ask for loans from the private sector and the international organizations as World Bank or the IMF. So for a long time we are trying to solve our own problems. During that era, let's say the pandemic era, the digital economy grows a lot. That's like when companies such as Walla, that is a digital wallet, grew up to the point that now their stock prices are over $1 billion. So yes, some sectors were benefit by the situation, but the public sector was really affected negatively, and the people too, because the quarantine in Argentina was over 10 months, the first one, and the second one was like 6 months too. So you have almost 1 year and a half of quarantine. We were like China. So, and still, our expectations of growth this year, I mean last year was minus 5.2. This year we are expecting to grow around 2%. Indonesia is expecting to grow over 4.3. So yeah, our economy is not in good shape at the moment.
Good afternoon, Professor. My name is Daryl, and I'm from the Faculty of International Relations. As you said, President Milei values the digital economy and has shown commitment through recent partnerships. But how do you view the Libra meme coin controversy in that context? And could it affect Argentina's image in the digital finance space? Thank you.
That's a really good question. I like that question. Um, because I've been trying to reflect about it when I'm here. As you may know, our partners in the international system is different from Indonesia. It means that, for example, let's say the perspective of the Palestinian cause nowadays for us is different from Indonesia. So our foreign policy takes decision based on the belief and ideas of the president. They are different from our traditions. Argentina, for a long time, we have respected and support Palestine. Nowadays, we support Israel. That is a really sensitive topic, but it's also to show you how our foreign policy is changing in the last year and a half. Usually, our governments, they try to be in the middle, as Indonesia. It means we are not fully partners of the US, we are not fully partners of China. It seems like now we are closer to the US. We cannot deny the importance of China because of the bilateral trade. It's our second largest partner. And also we agree for a swap, so our central banks are connected. Also the ministries, every single ministry in Argentina, they have a chair for discussions with the ministries of China. We have a comprehensive agreement since 2004. So even though Milei wants to be disrupted and, let's say, change the whole foreign policy of Argentina, he cannot, because we have an interdependence with other countries. There's a relationship that cannot be destroyed as he would like to. Maybe, who knows?
First of all, good afternoon, Professor. And I take note that you take quite long journey to come to Indonesia, so I really appreciate that. And I also would like to say that I take a lot of notes from your lecture, but one that intrigued me the most is the philosophy that you say where the idea of the world system itself do not exist. So my question for you today, Professor, is in an era where the idea of a unified world system is increasingly challenged by geopolitical fragmentation and digital asymmetries, how can emerging economies country like Argentina, as we might name it as Global South, strategically leverage digital diplomacy and innovation to enhance regional leadership and promote equitable digital development? Thank you.
Okay. Let me reflect on that a bit. I mean, when I came here, the first thing I did, I went to Malang, okay? So imagine I traveled 3 days and then I flew to Malang again. So it has been long journey. The second day in Malang, I went to Blitar by car. So I traveled 4 hours more to Blitar, to the grave of Sukarno. You know that Sukarno used to be a non-aligned government. During his government, he joined the non-alignment movement that the offices are here, okay? Argentina used to be part of it too. What I'm trying to tell you is that we used to have politicians that took really hard decisions. And it's easy to rely on a big economy, like the US of China. Okay, let's say we are really close friends to China, we are really close friends to the US. We rely on someone. It's like when we are young and we rely on our parents. But then there's some moment in our life that we need to be independent. And I think forums like the non-alignment or the G20 or maybe the BRICS are forums where countries like Argentina and Indonesia should be present and should take the decision. It's a political decision. So you have to have guts to do it. You have to have what you have to have in order to do it, because it's a hard decision. The path is not easy. It has not been designed. You have to design it. So when Lula, for example, and the president of South Africa, the president of China, and another presidents, they decided to create BRICS or UNASUR in South America, it's a huge decision because you don't know what is going to happen through that connections. If we want to booster the relationship through the global south, we still cannot predict what is going to happen. But at least our governments are taking decisions based on that. I think I answered your question, hopefully, maybe. Any other question? Should we go to it?
More questions? Yes?
The leaders of the students? For sure. You know, I traveled 3 days, so please let this trip yeah, let's be worth it. Yes.
Okay, no, it's just like a simple question because you are the one who mentioned that the idea of the what system itself does not exist. I take it that you say it's from philosophy. My question to you, are you, like in your personal opinion, do you believe that the idea of the what system itself does not exist as what you mentioned before? Thank you.
Depending on which field or which hat I have. As a, let's say, as an academist, I think the concept of war still is active. As a, from the consultant point of view, I don't think the world exists. I'm a neo-realist.
Okay, thank you.
If I know that Professor Nadira has taught you about neo-realism and realism, Morgenthau, well, that word doesn't exist too. You know, the institutions that the neo-realism was talking about, the UN now, it's an empty box. That's another way to say the word doesn't exist. So neo-realism is back.
Okay. Thank you, Professor.
You know, it's like the Sith won, you know, not the Jedis, the Sith.
Yes? More? Yes.
The only one that speaks Spanish here. You can make your question in Spanish if you want.
Ok. ¿Hasta qué punto pueden las plataformas digitales apoyar la estabilidad económica a largo plazo? Gracias.
You're welcome to honor my language. The language of 600 million inhabitants in Latin America. Thank you. Okay. It's a good question. There's a movie just launched. It's not a movie, it's a series with Robert De Niro about how the leaders of the digital economy in the US influence the government, and there's a terrorist attack and they are the ones behind it. As Bill Gates 40 years ago, as Steve Jobs. Now we have new actors that can decide what is going to be the new trend for digital diplomacy or foreign policy. Behind Milei, it's Elon Musk, for example, the US. Elon Musk is a friend and he supports Milei through medias. He's supporting the new candidacy of Bolsonaro against Lula. So yes, they have a lot of influence and they can define the future of our regions. My region, your region. For example, let's say there is a new opposition, young opposition in Indonesia. New kind of government, and it's supported by Elon Musk. This can happen for sure. It did happen in up to the point that he put in risk his own company. So everything can happen, especially with these new actors that are more powerful than a state. Elon Musk can affect the economy of any country, especially developing countries like ours. Also the owner of TikTok, he can define it. He already defined the digital market here. He bought Tokopedia. Now you have Chinese assets here, and they will define what is based on your preferences, how the digital economy will be developed. And now they can sit with people like the former Minister of Education from here, the owner of Gojek, the previous owner of Gojek, and discuss. It's a way to sit on the table. I think they want to. Another question?
No? Okay. So between the digitalized world can threaten I read the term of splinternet. Yeah. And in your opinion, in the future, what was the most dangerous thing that faced by all of us, other than those two great nations, where they can possess our data and how they can analyze us and states and policy and everything? How do you see that?
I think the most challenging thing that we face is to be able to think and be free. Because now freedom, it's complicated.
Yeah.
Now, for example, yesterday I was trying to look for information about something that I wanted to show to Nadira, and I couldn't. You know why? Because the algorithm in Indonesia is different from Argentina. So also they define our preferences somehow. So yes, I think freedom to think. That's the challenging thing.
Okay. Can you close it with one model that you may offer to as to overcome this problem, maybe?
I still believe that the global south somehow exists. I think the coordination between our countries should be better and more effective. Maybe not through BRICS, but other sources, other forums. I still believe that the third world exists, that we are part of it. Now we have a different system. The system is now bipolar, but now they have new resources, new technology to control. One thing that is different from the first Cold War is that there was two ideologies. Now the problem is not the ideology, because we are all capitalist countries, even China. It's just that Now we have to find new methods to make our voice loud in the different forums that we are participating on. And that's only the responsible for that are our governments, the ones that have to speak. And just one more thing, this is a funny joke. Because we are being recorded and maybe streaming or whatever, I would like to say thank you, Xi, thank you, Trump. Hope you have a great day. I still want to go to your country.
Thank you very much. Okay, can we give a great applause, big applause for Professor Artis that has been enlightening us with so many perspectives on the global south, whether it exists or not, it's up to you now. And freedom to think, freedom of speech, you have to use your own mind. Just don't just accept what AI said it to you. Okay, have a good day. Thank you again, Professor Artis. Your long journey, hopefully it's worth today to see young faces for future generations, hopefully. Thank you, everyone. Have a nice day. I'll see you. Can we take a picture together? Yeah?
Thank you very much to the moderator for leading the discussion so smoothly, and also thank you also to Professor Ignacio for the insightful and inspiring presentation from which we have all gained valuable knowledge. So next is the presentation of a souvenir, a certificate which will be handed over by Ms. Nadira SSMA as the head of International Relations Program. To the Honorable, you may proceed. Okay, thank you very much. We will now have a photo session with the participants. So if you could please maybe stand in front and facing the board. Also with Ms. Nadira, also stand in front, facing the board. And everyone could please squeeze in the middle. Stand up and squeeze in the middle. Yang di belakang boleh ke sini aja nih. Di depan masih agak kosong. Boleh kok sini-sini. Boleh sini, maju-maju. Biar kelihatan. Mana tuh? Kakak boleh maju ke depan di sebelah sini. Silakan. Nggak apa-apa, maju aja. It's okay. Nanti nggak kelihatan. Ayo boleh kok. Iya nanti aman-aman. Ayo sayang sama aku yuk. Kurang mepet, mungkin bisa dimepetin lagi. Ada yang kalau di bawah sini kelihatan nggak, Mas? Ke kanan, ke kanan. Ke kiri. Yang sebelah sana satu lagi. Okay, thank you very much for everyone, to our speakers, our enthusiastic participants, and everyone who have contributed to the success of this event. May today's discussion be beneficial and inspiring for us all. We apologize for any shortcomings during the event. May peace, goodness, and blessings always be with us all. Thank you for your attention and cooperation. Peace be upon you and God's mercy and blessings. Shalom, Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya. Greetings of virtue to us all. Untuk peserta, jika memiliki keperluan lain diperbolehkan untuk keluar dari ruangan. Terima kasih. Mengeluarkan diri. Boleh keluar dari ruangan, silakan. Terima kasih.